Alrighty guys, welcome. I'm doing this video while streaming and we're going to go over the changelog for 15 here. This was shared by Clonin a few hours ago on the subreddit. Definitely worth checking out. And I'll put a link in the description of the video for this. And I was going to share chat on screen, but it wouldn't have really showed up well, so I'm just going to read out anything people say. But yeah, we're going to go through this. This is pretty much the entire changelog. Some very interesting stuff in here, which should be fun to cover. And yeah, so let's get started. We do have HanziQ in chat, which is awesome because, you know, he can maybe clear up anything we may have concerns or questions about. HanziQ, sorry for not responding on Discord. I forgot that thing exists. No worries. I know you're very busy and it's hard to keep track of everything. Can you post that link in chat? It looks like NG already got it. All right, so let's get started. So major features, research overhaul, which we a lot of this, anyone who watches my channel, a lot of this will probably know because we simulated quite a bit of this in our 0.15 playthrough simulation, but just to kind of recover it. 4 new science packs, military production, high-tech in space. The space science packs are generated by launching a rocket added infinite researches. So they said this in the Friday facts, pretty much, and I think this is a very recent addition because I saw no mention of this or anything like a week ago in some info I had. So essentially when you launch a rocket, you get 1,000 space science packs. And the infinite researches, so minor productivity, bot speed, the combat ones, are all going to require these space science packs. I don't know how many of each, but they're going to require them. So essentially you have to launch rockets now to do the infinite research, which I think is a really cool idea. Because before, up until this point, launching rockets was kind of pointless aside from just getting your little score ticker up. And this is really cool, and I like that they tied it into the infinite research as well, so that you know, I mean, it's late game, right? In our 0.15 sim, we were like pumping through those minor productivity researches super early. We had like level 20 or something before we even started our like smelting setup for the mega base. So this is really cool they've done that. All right, so that covers that. Nuclear power. Pretty just summed up in one thing here. Again, I would check out the Friday facts, and I just put out the overview video, the discussion video for that earlier today. But nuclear power essentially includes a uranium mining, and then you take the uranium ore and stick it in a centrifuge, and the centrifuge will give you U-235 and U-238. 235 I think is a lot more rare, and that's what like the percent chance of getting it is lower. But that's what you use to create your like nuclear, I know I say it wrong, nuclear fuel cells, which you then put into your reactor, which generates heat and sends through heat pipes to heat exchangers, which turn the heat into steam and send the steam to steam turbines, which give you electricity. You can use it with steam engines, but it's not really efficient. Or you can use boilers with the steam turbines, but that's not efficient either. So it's kind of cool. The nuclear is like its own little set of, like it's pretty much a step above steam at that point. And let's read some chat here. So Gridstop says, is it clear if space packs will be needed even for the first levels of infinite research, mining productivity in particular, or can you get some of it done earlier? That's a good question, Grid, and I'm not sure. I would imagine that they are required for pretty much all the infinite research, but it's not actually clear. And I was wondering that myself. You know, like for just level 1 of minor productivity, do you have to have launched a rocket to even get that? I'm not sure. Rect, hey, who's hyped for Tuesday? No one, everyone. Any idea how much power from one nuclear reactor? And that's actually, I have this other tab open where Vaclav responded to a question I had in the Friday Facts thing here, and he does give a hint of the power. So we're going to hop over here really quick. So I asked about the nuclear reactor, you know, if we could get some indication of how much it generates. And as Hopewell said in chat, but for the people in the video, here's his response. He thinks, you know, this is off the top of his head. There's so much to keep track of for them. But I think single reactor is 40 megawatts currently, and they get 10 megawatt bonus per neighbor. So a 2x2 block, so a square essentially, 2x2, right? So 4 total. Gives 240 megawatts. A 4x2 line would then be 520 megawatts. I hope I remember the bonuses amount correctly. We'll find that out soon. The numbers and mechanics might change and improve later, so don't take it as final. This part is a little bit confusing. A heat boiler is 10 megawatts, and the turbine has some weird number. 2 turbines to a heat boiler is enough. I'm not entirely sure on this last line, but so essentially, just for anyone who's unclear on how this works, so what we have, right, is we have a 2x2 block, which is 4 total, 4 reactors total, with a base of 40 megawatts per. That's 160 megawatts, right? But each one is neighbored by 2, right? Because there's one next to it and then one on the other side of it. It doesn't count diagonal, but there's one on each side, right? So each one gets a 20 megawatt bonus, which puts each one at 60 megawatts. 6 times 4 is 24, 240. So that's how that works, right? And then the same math would apply to the 4x2. I'm not sure what the max is, like if there's a max in terms of the like chains of these you can like put together. But based on this, you can get some pretty high power output from these setups. So now this is the reactor. So I guess what this means is like 40 megawatts worth of heat. Doesn't actually say how much power a turbine can generate, like the turbine itself, because the turbine's the thing that actually gives you electricity, right? It's not said how much those give. So Gridstop says, so the heat exchanger can put 10 megawatts into the steam, and each turbine is 5 megawatts. I would find it hard to believe if a turbine is only 5 megawatts. That means for a setup like this, you would need like 50 turbines. That seems a bit odd to me. Hanzi Q ran off to fix something. Hopefully he'll be back, because this would be something worth asking about. Like, this is the main thing that's very unclear. And I know, of course, we'll know Tuesday, but while we're going over this, it would be cool to get a little more information. So we'll come back to that. Let's move on. Blueprint library. So essentially this allows players for keeping blueprints between individual saves, so you don't have to use a blueprint string back and forth. And allows sharing blueprints in multiplayer games, which is super nice. So, you know, in like the multiplayer games we do with Will and Mojo and stuff, instead of having to import these blueprint strings, we can just share all of our blueprints within the game together, which is really, really nice. More chat. Maybe the reactor themselves give the 40 plus 10, and they also produce heat that can be converted to steam for turbines for additional electricity. Well, 50 turbines as opposed to 1,000 steam engines. Yeah, that's a thing. Hopewell just said they don't give out electricity themselves, only give out heat. So that's why it's confusing a little bit. The reactor only produces heat, right? You stick the fuel cell in, it produces heat. The heat transfers through heat pipes into the heat exchangers, which take water and the heat and turn it to steam, and then the steam is fed to the steam turbines, and the turbine is what actually gives you electricity. A reactor doesn't give you electricity. It's like a boiler, right? You can't hook a power pole to a boiler and get electricity from it, right? So the reactor is your heat creator. The turbine is what's actually giving you your electricity that you hook a power pole to. And that's not said how much a turbine can give. So that's really the main thing we're missing clarification on. Yeah, so that takes care of that. So features, map interaction improvements, we pretty much all know about this. They were shared in at least 2 Friday facts. Logistics networks, pollution, electric network turret range can be viewed on the map. You can zoom in on the map. Like if you're in map view and you zoom in enough, it'll take you like into the actual game. Like if you weren't in map view,
I'll be back.
Zoom to the world from the map. There you go. It only shows parts of the map covered by radar or other players. Custom map markers can be added by the players. So you can put, you know, like over your advanced circuit area on your map, you can like mark it with an advanced circuit icon and such. Added wagon for transporting fluids. One side pump can be connected to the fluid wagon. The other side has to be connected to something else, which is interesting. I'm not really sure why this part is mentioned. I guess to clarify that you can't hook a pump from one fluid wagon directly to the other. I'm not really sure why you would want to. But HanziQ said something in chat. Oh god, HanziQ says, I literally have no idea how nuclear works. Didn't play with it yet at all. Alright, fair enough. Valder says, I would like to see the use of heat and heat pipes outside of power generation.
I'll be back.
Just finished reading all that. Nice. Well, I don't suppose, Hanzi, that you could take a little peek and just see, like, just look at what a turbine gives power-wise. That's pretty much all we want to know, is just what a turbine gives power-wise. But yeah, so, yeah, this is interesting. This one with the pump, that the only reason I can think of this being mentioned is that it's just to clarify that you can't hook a pump, like pumping from one fluid wagon to a different fluid wagon, which, like I said, I'm not really sure why you'd want to do that. And even if you did, I mean, you can just pump it out, send it through a pipe, and then just put a different pump on another wagon. But either way, fluid wagon. When dying in multiplayer, you leave behind a body with your items that slowly degrades, which is totally awesome, because now there's going to be tons of extern bodies all over the tracks and map when I'm playing with Will and stuff, when I inevitably get destroyed by a train or them. Well, we might have to get a mod, right, that like makes the bodies not decay, so there's just permanent extern bodies just all over the map, laying all over the tracks. And Hopewell says, HanziQ, do we get a peek at the coal liquefaction recipe? Yeah, farther down here, there is coal liquefaction into oil, but it's not mentioned the actual amount that it needs and how much it outputs. That would be interesting. And Kelderek brings up a very good point. Apparently, the fluid tanker has 3 tanks you can control if they are connected on separate, which is cool. Yeah, so the fluid tanker has 3 separate like tank things, and they can either be all connected, so you just have like 3 that are just all full of lube and it just acts as one, or you can disconnect the fluid transfer, but they're still part of the same train, right? Where it's essentially almost like filtering a normal wagon, right? Where you can have one part of it be lube, one part of it be oil, and one part of it be sulfuric acid or whatever it may be, but you can have 3 separate things, which is super cool. I think that's a really, really nice feature. And, oh, Zuri, hey, what's going on? Zuri says, I'm just glad the art team had pairs of pipes for the heat pipes. Literally the only thing in my nuclear rant that made it in the game, probably without even reading it. Skype pop-ups, yeah, I should probably close Skype. Just close Skype, thank you. Okay, here's HanziQ. Oh, perfect. Okay, HanziQ says 10 coal, 25 heavy oil, 50 water equals 35 heavy, 15 light, 20 petro. Wow. I'm gonna put this on the screen. I know I just said it, but for people who prefer visualization, let's just let's open a notepad here. So here we go. For the coal liquefaction, you put in 10 coal, 25 heavy oil, and 50 water, and you get 35 heavy oil, so you get a gain of 15 heavy. You get 15 light and 20 petro. That is extremely significant. That is amazing. Remember the fluids are multiplied by 10 and 15. Yeah, of course, but it's still, I mean, so this is essentially equivalent to 1 coal, 2.5 heavy, and 5 water in 0.14 amounts. And you get 3.5 heavy, 1.5 light, and 2 petro. Which may not seem like much, but, you know, if you have 20 refineries doing that, that's pretty significant. Well, actually, no, coal's not a fluid, so this isn't multiplied by 10. It's 10 coal, but still. I mean, you already have coal at your refinery thing for plastic, right? And I mean, what else is coal used for? You wouldn't use it for power once you get nuclear. So yeah, it's 10 heavy. Sorry. Yep. Never do math live. Okay, so that's really interesting. That's really helpful. I'm gonna have to think about that a bit more. So that's that. Let's move down. Added infinite mining productivity research. Each year increases mining productivity by 2%. We already simulated that. Fuel type now affects vehicle acceleration and top speed. The acceleration thing was leaked a while ago, but the top speed I don't think was really confirmed at that point. So this is really interesting. Like a rocket fuel train is going to be screaming down those tracks. It's going to be pretty ridiculous. I'm just gonna die probably every single video I do of the series. I mean, this is gonna be dangerous. And Zuri says the crafting time change for cracking is going to throw off all the ratios. Yeah, farther down they changed the crafting time for cracking light oil to petroleum, which is like totally changes all the oil ratios. For the, you know, the 5-7-1 we have now, that's just totally out the window. All right, so that takes care of that. We already did this. This one's interesting. Added the pipette tool. Picks up items from your inventory used to build the currently selected item or entity. For resources, it will select the fast available resources extractor. So this is essentially like the picker mod I did a spotlight on. That's now in the base game, which is super cool. That's going to be pretty helpful. Mini tutorials, which I think Clonin and maybe some others have been working on. Small missions that explain some of the game mechanics. The current content is testing sample and only covers trains, but that's cool. I mean, trains are probably the top priority to be covered. New scenarios, PvP and wave defense. We knew about these, but very cool. I'm quite excited to try this wave defense. I think that could be some good multiplayer gameplay right there. If I remember correctly, rocket fuel gives like 1.8 acceleration and 1.15 max speed modifier. Okay, yeah, the acceleration definitely seems right. So 1.15 speed modifier, that's not that significant, but that's still, I mean, that's still pretty good. Hansi, that's I like that. That's what is that? It's like a 15% increase. That's not bad. And I mean, 80% acceleration increase is huge. The acceleration is what you really need from that, right? Because, you know, a lot of the issues we run into now sometimes is the train acceleration being so slow. When you get an 80% bonus with rocket fuel on the acceleration, that's pretty significant. Inzuri says it makes sense for fuels that burn hotter to be more efficient, but what doesn't make sense is the braking upgrades research should have added retro rockets graphics. Someone asks in chat. Oh, okay, never mind. It's not that significant, but increases the chances of getting you. Yep, more speed means more exterm. Yes, so that takes care of that. Graphics, they added all the high-res graphics. This was covered in the Friday facts, so I'm not really going to go over that, but they look fantastic. New ore graphics, they also look fantastic. Tweak the GUI graphics, also went over that in Friday facts. Decrease the size of the recipe icons on assembly machines by 23%. I never really noticed that. Like the overlay of like what's being crafted. Okay. Minor features. A lot of these I don't think are very minor, but fast in-game interactions like fast inserting into from entity and copy paste can be done by dragging instead of having to click one at a time, which is super nice. So instead of like shift right click and then shift left clicking every single thing, you can just like shift or just like select a thing, like shift right click one thing and then just drag across all the others and copy it. Build by moving for electric poles now accounts for covering all unpowered entities on the way. Super cool. That makes that nice. Fast replacing input piece of underground belt will also fast replace output piece, which is really, really nice. So that you don't have to do each piece at a time. XTYTSub says, I think our seating said something like 1.8 gigabyte of graphic memory for all high res, not including the new terrain. So I wonder if its 2 gigabyte card will even be enough. Yeah, that'd be pushing it. I think our seating did confirm 1.8 gigabyte VRAM when the HD graphics settings are on, which is pretty significant if you have a lower memory graphics card. So that should be interesting. And a wonderful situation, robots don't have storage place to put items in the logistic network. That's really nice. That'll let you know if you have a whole ton of robots like just hovering around being derps. Pump show the direction in the detail view. That's nice. Belts and pipes show correct connections in building. Blueprint. I'm trying to... I mean, this is going to take like 3 hours if I go over every single thing. Screenshot command. That's super nice. Added support for equipment grids in the map editor. That's awesome. Build rotation. Each blueprint is remembered independently of general item, which is cool. This one's pretty big. Infinite resource, minimal yield. So by infinite resource, they mean oil at this point. Infinite resource minimum yield is calculated using the initial resource amount and the prototype minimum yield. So instead of now, where an oil well gets down to 0.1 and then that's it, it's going to be based on its initial yield. So if an oil well was like, say, 2.6 per second, then its minimum yield would be like 0.26, I think, if I'm understanding that correctly. Added optional filters to deconstruction planner, which is awesome. So filter deconstruction planner, you will no longer need a mod for that. Copying from assembling machines to filter inserters will set the filters to the ingredients of the assembler recipe, which is awesome. I'm just reading through chat here. All right. Added reverse rotate. This is one that Will and I and Mojo were all questioning during the Friday Facts discussion video. Does this mean just reverse rotate on a building? Because I'm not really sure why you'd want to do that. Like, as Will pointed out, you know, like on an assembler, right? If you have something that requires a fluid input and you need to rotate it to how you want it, Will made a good point that, like, you know, I can hit R like 3 times, right, to get it. Say I want to rotate it like 3 times. I can hit R 3 times fast. I can do that faster than if I had to hit like Shift R. Like by the time I find the Shift key and hit R, I could have just hit R 3 times. So I'm not really sure what exactly a reverse rotate gives you. I mean, like I'm trying to think on. I mean, I guess it could be, like, once you get used to it, Shift R, I guess that could be faster. Offshore pump and generator show pumping speed, fluid usage. This is really nice. Alternative select with blueprint, shift plus select skips the blueprint setup GUI. So if you just want, like, a super fast blueprint without going through the whole preview it, save it thing, you can just do this. Mining rails is disabled if mining starts with trains or gates. So that's cool. So like if you're trying to pull up a train, you can't accidentally pull up the rail under it, like if you accidentally hold the button too long. Hanzi Q, if you have to find the shift key, you're doing something wrong. Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so toggle full screen with a hotkey combo, that's nice. Added some commands, force. This one's really cool. /alerts command configures alerts for your player, so you can like customize your alerts, which is really, really nice. You can mute programmable speaker. Seed command prints the map seed. That's really nice. So you don't have to like go into load and then map exchange string. You can just get map seed. And a fluids to production GUI, that is amazing. Been wanting that for a really long time. Added kill statistics GUI, that's pretty awesome. Added enable disable all mods button. Automatic barreling support for all fluids, so we no longer need a barreling mod. I know I'm skipping some stuff, but I'm trying to cover the super major ones. Added ability to auto-launch a rocket. That was showed in the Friday Facts. There's just a tick box for it in the rocket GUI, which is pretty awesome. Train stops can be colored like trains, so you can now have your train stops match your trains. Fish can be collected by robots. That's pretty great. Extended map generator settings to include an advanced section, which has been covered in previous Friday Facts. So definitely, if you want more info on that, just look through the previous Friday Facts. There's quite a bit of info on those. Presets, which is really, really nice. That's going to be good for like speedrunners like Anti, who like re-roll a bajillion times without needing like a macro for it. Hanziku, if I rest my left hand on USD, my little finger is automatically on shift. That is true. Valdec, Stern's little finger is in BBQ sauce though. Oh man. So I see commands disable achievements. That's a very good point. Most of the other commands don't. Okay, so damage items merge into one stack. The health of the stack will be the average of the items. That's really nice. Some server stuff, which is pretty cool. Add an ability to export and import blueprints, blueprint books, and deconstruction planners as strings, so you don't need a mod for that. So like, that's pretty nice. Server commands. Furnaces and similar things show the amount of products finished. This is really cool. So this is like when you hover over a gun turret, I imagine, and it shows its kills. You now have this for furnaces and assemblers for the amount of stuff they've made. That's really cool. This balancing. This is where a whole ton of stuff changes. Increase the rate at which resources grow with distance from center by 50%. So I'm assuming this means distance from spawn by 50%. That's pretty damn significant. A whole ton of oil buffs. Crude oil balancing. Have the resource amount on the map. That's may seem like a nerf, but they put like more wells together, I think. Or, well, either way, even these are huge buffs. Increase the minimum yield from 10% to 20%. Have the rate of depletion double the starting yield. Fix that the mechanics of increasing richness with distance from the start wasn't working for crude oil. So yeah, this has been an issue for a while, I think. Increase module inventory size of chemical plant and oil refinery from 2 to 3. We already simulated that. Increase logistics slot trash slot count from 5 per level to 6 per level. So that's cool. Remove processing unit from modular armor and portal solar panel recipe. Increase the pumping speed 4 times. And by pump, I assume this means what is now currently the small pump, because the other one's the offshore pump. So that's cool, because the current one doesn't really match pipe throughput. The current small pump does like 30 a second, I think, which is way lower than pipe throughput amounts. And then this is some pretty major stuff here. Reduce the plastic bar recipe requirement and petroleum gas 30 to 20. So remember, fluids are multiplied by 10. So in 0.14, this would essentially be equivalent of from 3 to 2. So plastic would essentially stop requiring 3 and only require 2 petroleum. Lubricant, essentially 2 to 1.5. Electric furnace recipe of steel, 15 to 10. So 5 less steel there. Reduced the steel furnace recipe requirement of steel 8 to 6. Reduced pump jack recipe requirement of steel 10 to 5. So pump jacks now only require 5 steel, which is way, way cheaper. Reduce crafting time. Engine unit, electric engine unit 20 to 10 seconds. Pump jack 10 to 8. Advanced circuit 8 to 6. Processing unit 15 to 10. So these last two are the main ones I want to talk about. The processing unit 15 to 10 essentially means that it's now a 1-to-1 green circuits to processing units. Because if it's 10 seconds, right, and it needs 20 green circuits, you make 20 green circuits in 10 seconds, so it's a 1-to-1. And then these cracking recipes, 5 to 3, just totally changes all the oil ratios once you get to cracking. And that's part of what we're gonna mess with after we go over this changelog, is I'm gonna mess around with the builds and see what we can come up with for this, but it's gonna be way different. Increase stack size of stone wall pipe and belts 50 to 100. Very nice. Steam engines now output 900 kilowatts. Wow, it's almost double. That's really nice. Double the heat capacity of water from 0.1 kilojoule per degree per liter to 0.2. Increase the substation supply area 16 by 16 to 18 by 18 wire reach 16 to 18. Super awesome. Combat balancing. Tons of combat rebalancing. I'm not going to go over all this, but essentially they're pretty much all buffs. I think they buffed the worms, I think, a little bit, but all the weapons have been buffed except the flamethrower, which was nerfed a little bit. You know, more than doubled the player health. Increased the effectiveness of fish. Increased tank health and resistances. Massively increased the personal laser defense damage. Mines. Somewhere in here. Somewhere in here, mines do more damage and stun them. Oh, here's the damage of laser defense. Decrease the discharge size, discharge defense equipment from 3 to 3 to 2 to 2. Greatly increase the damage and fire rate of rocket and cannon shells. That's pretty significant. Add research for tank cannon shell damage and shooting speed. Tweaked research bonuses. Add more in-game research for military upgrades. Greatly increase the damage of mines. They also stun nearby enemies. Add uranium rounds, magazines, and uranium cannon shells. Add a flamethrower to the tank. Awesome. Super cool. Other minor changes. Quite a few optimizations. They fixed the mining drill thing, which, well, in general, and then also they pretty much did what our mining drill mod made by Can does in our 0.15 simulation. Tons of improvements, significantly improved GUI performance for inventories that required scroll bars, improved map generation, speed, and generation algorithm, optimized memory requirements for storing tiles under concrete, improved train performance when building, mining, rail related to entities. So this fixes the track lag we've had a whole ton of problems with. Once you get a lot of track and stuff and trains, this should hopefully be fixed or at least improved. Exterminator better still be killable by train. Losing the belt optimization is heartbreaking to me. I really am sick of having to use bot builds for UPS. Yeah, so belt optimizations have been moved from 0.15 to 0.16 because they ran out of time, which is disappointing. Personally, I'm not too upset because I'm not that attached to belts, but I know a lot of people were really looking forward to that. Significantly improved circuit network performance, up to 25 times less CPU usage and 10% less memory usage. That is huge. Like, that is massive. Add the programmable speaker. Shows alerts and player sounds based on circuit network signals that can be used to make simple songs. Train stop can output the contents of stop train's cargo. Train stop can be disabled using the circuit network. Trains will skip disabled train stops, allowing simple train control. This is so nice because what you can do, right, is you can hook, I think you can hook it to a circuit network and be like, if ore in the chests is like more than, I don't know, 8,000, turn off, disable the train stop. And what this does, based on my understanding, is it just pretty much makes the train stop invisible to any trains going there, so they just completely ignore it, which is a really nice way to kind of help some of the train pathing stuff. Because when a station's full, you can just basically just make a train just act as if it's not even there and go to a station that actually needs it. Or skip empty outposts, that's a good point. More like if train is present, ignore the station. Well, that could work, but can't you do it to a resource amount too, Demon? I'm pretty sure. I mean, it can be disabled using the circuit network. Pump jacks can be turned on and off. Mining drills can be turned on and off. Added quite a few things to the combinators. Changes. Boilers are more powerful and bigger and have dedicated output for steam. Default boilers output steam at the fixed temperature 165. So it's going to be changed from how it is now, right? You know, you need like 14 boilers to actually get the water hot enough. They just output a flat 165 temperature steam. Remove support for the 2-bit systems. Removed alien artifacts and alien science packs from the game completely. So there was a lot of questions. I've seen so many questions about this like over the last few months. So it's now 100% confirmed. Alien artifacts no longer in the game. Anything that required them is no longer requiring them. And alien science packs have been replaced with the production pack. So no more goop. Bounding box of burner miners so you can walk around them. Loading saved. Change small pump to pump. Small pumps and old saves will be migrated, but they will be misaligned and disconnected from pipes. Train stations add 2,000 tile penalty when pathfinding, so trains try to avoid stations not related to their path. This is pretty much, I think, an attempted fix or band-aid for loop-based systems, because that's part of the issue, or the main issue with loop-based systems, is that the trains would path through stuff they're not supposed to. So this should actually help pretty significantly with that. The map seed is used to generate unique maps instead of just shifting the starting position. That's really cool, because how it is now is pretty much everyone actually starts on the same map, just a different part in the map. Multiplied all fluids by 10, we already discussed that. When the active train stop is removed, trains will immediately leave the station if they're waiting at the station. So that's cool. You don't have to manually tell them to go somewhere else when you get rid of a stop. Fast replacing splitters maintains the splitter contents on the new splitter instead of returning it to the player. Crafting is now paused when the results can't be given to the player instead of spilling them on the ground, so no more pooping items that way. Changed evolution from global to per force. Pretty interesting. Laser turret projectiles move faster. Roboport construction area changed from 50 to 51 to allow roboports build / deconstruct each other even when there's one tile gap between their logistic networks or areas. That's really nice. Restart button now uses map generation settings from currently low to save. That's really good. Rename some stuff. Manual ghost building will mark trees, rocks for deconstruction, similar to alt building blueprints. Blueprint books and deconstruction planners are obtainable from the library GUI with no crafting cost. So there you go. Ton of modding stuff. I'm not really going to go over because this is only relevant, I think, to a very few specific people. You can check this out. Like I said, there will be a link in the video description for this, and anyone in chat probably knows how to get here too. Tons of modding changes and new abilities, scripting, API stuff, command line interface, and yeah. So there you go. That's the changelog. A lot of interesting stuff. Yeah, lots of cool mod stuff. If you are a modder, I definitely suggest checking out these changes. You know, for most people, or well, pretty much anyone who's not a modder, I'm not sure this is relevant. Like, to me, it's not relevant. But if you're a modder, definitely check this out. There's some really cool stuff in here. I didn't see anything about the default stack size and logistics chests. DiscordCon, did you figure out how big the nuclear bomb is? Oh, that's a good question. HanziQ, if you're still here, can you answer for us? In the Friday Facts, right, it was mentioned that the nuclear warhead for the rocket launcher damages a 50 tile area. Are you able to clarify what that means? Does that mean like 50 tile diameter or 50 tile complete area? Like, because that's actually really small. Like 50 tiles from edge to edge. Because that's something we were wondering about and weren't really able to confirm. Oh, one other thing, which I must have scrolled over. Trying to find it here. Let's see if we can do a search. Stack. Doubled stack size. Okay, here, this one. Added ability to change individual inserter stack size bonuses through GUI or circuit network. This is super cool. So you can change each inserter stack size independently, which I think should help quite a lot with like Zuri loaders and stuff, like smart loaders, because you have to kind of compensate for the stack size bonus when doing those, but now you can just set it specifically to what you want. Either in the GUI or a circuit network, like if you're doing a ton of them. That's really, really cool. But yeah, I think that covers it. So I'm going to end the video. I think I'll wait a minute or two to see if HanziQ is still around to answer that. But yeah, so much cool stuff. Only a couple more days. Yeah, so for the rocket warhead, like from the uranium thing, we want to know if it's diameter, radius, or area, because it said 50 tile in the Friday facts, but the wording was not very clear on how big that actually was. Exterminator, my favorite parts of the blueprint library, blueprints not needing to be crafted, and blueprint books holding 1,000 instead of currently 41. Yeah, that's in here too. Blueprint books have been modified to now hold 1,000 blueprints. So good luck filling that up. That'll be pretty ridiculous. Better have a pretty long scroll bar. Please stop saying GUI. Non-insane people just say GUI. Your YouTube comments are wrong. Yep. That's what I normally say GUI, and so many people have pointed out that I need to say it GUI, but I think GUI is the correct way. So that pretty much covers it. If you want to see some of this stuff like visually, check out the latest Friday Facts if for some reason you haven't seen it, or the overview video that went out. Okay, HanziQ says he's not sure about the nuclear bomb. No worries. Can't see it in the prototype. All right, then very last question, if you are able to, Hanzi. Are you able to confirm just by looking at the like file or in-game how much power a steam turbine provides? Just the turbine itself? Because that's something we're... Oh, type area perimeter 35. So a perimeter, that's a round, right? So 35 perimeter. How big would that be then? Perimeter, I'm so bad at geometry. A perimeter is around the entire thing, right? But tiles don't really... Oh, 35, so 35 radius. It's pretty big. A radius is from the center out? Yeah, a radius is from the center out. 35 radius is huge. 35 radius, that's a 70 diameter across. By the way, print it out. This is 8 pages long. Oh my god. HanziQ, yeah, thank you very much for confirming this stuff. Much appreciated, Hanzi. So 35 radius. That's huge, dude. Will is going to be so happy his gardening tools will be back. He'll have built-in gardening tools. This is ridiculous. Yeah, radius is from the center out, so that's 70 across tiles. We need to measure that when we get into game. So yeah, if pretty much the only last thing that would be awesome to be confirmed is the steam turbine power output. But other than that, this is just so cool, and I cannot stop going crazy over the graphics for the nuclear stuff. Oh my gosh. Turbine, 5.8 megawatts. Thank you very much, Hansi. That's really low. If a nuclear reactor, a single reactor is 40 megawatts, that means you need like 7 turbines just to utilize the power from one reactor. That's what the tooltip says. Yeah, no, I don't I don't doubt you. I'm a little bit taken aback, honestly. I mean, compared to the steam engine, it makes sense, but compared to a reactor, if you need like 7 turbines just to use the heat worth of power generated from a reactor, that's pretty crazy. So if you want to make like a 520 megawatt thing with a 4x2 line of reactors, you're going to need like 75 turbines. Which, I mean, is still better than a steam engine setup. I mean, with a steam engine thing, you'd need like 500 steam engines. But, so I mean, it is actually way better than steam still. But yeah, I want to give a big thanks, Hansi Q, for dropping in and confirming this, and just all you and the rest of the devs done such an amazing job. This is unbelievable. Like 2 days cannot come soon enough. This is just so awesome. It's I really don't know what to do with myself while I wait. But yeah, very much appreciated. And with that, I'm going to end the video. Stream will obviously continue, but the video will be over. This one was probably pretty long, but hopefully you guys on the video enjoyed. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments for all this stuff. Maybe some theory crafting with the nuclear, some stuff we've talked about. But anyway, I will catch you guys on YouTube later.